call our regular council of Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 to order. This is our very first live stream meeting. So I will remind my colleagues to ensure that you turn your microphone on like I just did. Make sure your microphone is on when you're speaking. Do we have Councillor Vandenberg via Zoom?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Councillor Vandenberg, are you there? Oh. Thank you. So with this, I have called us to order. We have an agenda in front of us. Mr. Coleman, are there any additions or deletions?
Nothing from administration, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Someone want to move the agenda as presented? Councillor Smith, all in favor? That's unanimous. On to the adoption of the previous minutes. Do we do these separately, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. The October 26, 2021 organizational meeting. Councillor Lewis, move
Thank
those
you.
as presented.
On several occasions, my name is spelt wrong. The hyphen is in the wrong place. If those could be corrected, and I would move as amended.
All right. She will move as amended once, and we will ensure your name is correct. All in favor? Unanimous. October 26, 2021 regular council meeting minutes. Thank you. Councillor Scobie will move those as being correct. All in favor? Thank you. On to public. As per County Bylaw 0421 6.3, we do provide an opportunity for informal presentations to be made to council. Informal presentations, and this is in our 6.3B. Informal presentations shall be scheduled for regular meetings at or about 1:35 and for the time period of no longer than 20 minutes. C, individual informal presentations are limited to 5 minutes, so each speaker has 5 minutes, and any materials, audio or visual aids used will be left in the recording secretary, with the recording secretary for the record. So with that, I understand we have a presentation. Would the first speaker like to come forward? State your name and your address, sir, or there is and write it down there.
Take this off.
You may. You are more than 6 feet away from anyone at that point. Once you start, we will start a timer. I will give you a 1-minute warning when you are at 5 minutes. Thank you.
I'm Barry Sock. We own southeast of 29, 5022, west of the 4th. It's within a half a mile of the property that we're talking about with the wedding and event center. We'd like to thank the members of the committee for protecting our rural community. We're third generation farmers in that community.
Excuse me, sir. I'm going to ask you to actually sit down. I might be uncomfortable, but our counselor that is not here and participating by Zoom cannot hear you. So you need to just get closer to the microphone. Sorry if that makes you uncomfortable.
No, that's all right.
Thank you.
Start over.
Yes, please.
We would like to thank the members of the committee for protecting our rural community. As third generation farmers in this community, we have seen many changes over the years: road improvements, subdivisions, better signage, to name a few. Recently, not all changes have been for the betterment of the community. We're writing in regard to the permanent development permit at the Aspen Wedding and Event Center located 1 mile west of the farm, like our yard. Bringing the attention the negative experience of a quiet community has endured since it's opened. After a long day in the field, it's nice to sit down and unwind in the quiet of our backyard. We've been bothered with the noise pollution from the music, speeches at the wedding and event center, sending us into the house on several occasions. Noise pollution also initiates the neighborhood dogs to howl uncontrollably, which in turn cause the coyotes to howl to extremes of agitating our cattle. The disturbance on an event weekend caused the cattle to break fence this past summer, which could have been much worse, causing bodily harm to a driver on the already busy highway, made busier by the event center. Thankfully, the only repercussions were a loss of time, a little bit of money, and damage to neighbor's crop. We were told the noise could not be a possible problem where we live when the event center was granted their permit, yet has proven to be all of that. Due to last summer's frustrating experiences, we ask that you please not grant the Aspen Wedding and Event Center a permanent development permit.
Thank you very much, sir. Just make sure you sign your name there. We appreciate that. And when you're done, we will ask the next speaker, if there's another speaker, to come forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There may be even two. Yeah, that's okay.
And again, state your name and your address, and then you can begin. We'll start the timer when you start.
My name is Michelle Mitchum. My address is 50319 Range Road 225, Leduc County. The County of Leduc has programs to support and preserve our farmland. Now I request the county support and save our quality of life. I chose to live in rural Alberta on my land to enjoy the peace and quiet, be away from close neighbors, avoid the noise and hectic life of the city. Most of all, I live on my farm so that I can have all my animals and enjoy the time spent caring for them, and enjoying their company. I have dogs, cats, longhorn cattle, sheep, only to name a few of the species I care for. Since this event venue has opened, the noise has been disturbing to me, my animals. I can hear the music, the people over the microphone and speakers. It's difficult to enjoy time outside with my family and friends, or just to be out with my animals, enjoying the peace and quiet. Most disturbing to me is the effects the noise and activity this venue has had on my animals. My dogs have been more agitated. They bark loudly and constantly, run to the end of their pens facing the venue and bark. Their job is to notify me of danger or suspicious people, and with this increased activity, they bark. My Pyrenees have been seen on the road at the north end of my property barking and guarding their home. This puts their safety at risk with them on the road. I also fear that someone from the venue might come by, attempt to interact with my dogs, and that may become fearful and guarding and unintentionally bite someone. This puts me at risk for a lawsuit or having to put down my dogs for aggressive behavior. They were bred to protect their person, home, and livestock, and it would be unfair that they should suffer for doing their job. I am a producer and breeder of livestock. My livestock have also been affected by the noise. My cattle, sheep, goats have been agitated, making more noise, bolting in the pasture. I've had them break through the fence, costing me money to have the fences repaired. I lost 3 healthy baby calves during one big event. I'm not sure why. The amount of death at once has never happened before, and I feel the additional stress of the noise agitates the cattle and may have been a factor. I am also worried that someone may come onto my property to see my longhorn cattle and injure one of them or be injured. The stress from the noise and increased activity on my animals and livestock is very concerning. The health of my livestock affects my bottom line. Also, veterinary costs, treating any injured animal or trying to save any animals affected can be difficult. There is a cost in having to get my fences repaired. When the cattle break through, I'm at a fixed income, and this added unexpected cost is difficult. There have been increased traffic, noise, and dust, also a safety concern. And at one of these events, I was driving down the venue to go into Leduc, and we had to stop and wait behind a lineup of buses that were parked alongside of Range Road 225. We had to wait until they had left before we could go on about our business. This shouldn't really happen in a rural area. I'd expect this in town, but certainly not on a gravel road. I'm not out late at night, but I am concerned about the increased traffic and activity and alcohol use in our area. I do have young family that travels these roads and worry about their safety. They too have noticed the increased traffic with this event. Ever since Aspen Valley wedding events have been operating as a senior widow, living alone, I have been fearful, and I now keep my gate locked and all my doors locked. I'm afraid someone may enter my property, hurt me or my animals. My children have also expressed concern about it. My farm has been my home for well over 30 years, and I would like to maintain the quality of life that I've had for the next 30. People live out here to embrace the peace, the quiet, the quality of life. We would like the county now to help us preserve our quality of life in Leduc County. Please consider not allowing this business to continue to operate in our community.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Yes, you can. Thanks.
Thank you. And our next speaker, please. And again, state your name and your address, and then you can begin your presentation.
Hi, my name is Karen Nielsen. We reside at 50351 Range Road 225. We're directly across the road from Aspen Valley Wedding and Event Center. I have an email that was sent to me from the Dirchers just to present as well. And I don't know if you want me to read that aloud or just hand it in. It's just a very short.
It's your 5 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll quickly read theirs quickly. So Art and Leslie Dircher are just kitty corner to the Aspen Valley and north of Kevin and I. So this is from Leslie Dircher. I am submitting this letter to the council to hear on our behalf Arthur and Leslie Dircher. Our concerns around approving land for use other than residential and farm in our area comes down to when is the county going to start taking care of the farmers and ranchers in our area? When we first moved to this area back in 2002 and prior to that at another location in 1992, we did so with the county in mind. We were able to leave our homes and vehicles unlocked and everything was safe for the most part. It has come down to everywhere you look now, people have gates to access their property, cameras, and alarm systems. It is no safer living and raising children and maintaining our farms than if we lived in the city. To Art and I, we believe that in order to appreciate our land, we have to live on the property. People coming and going that don't have no regards for the area. And vandalism is on the rise. We most recently lost a lamb that was actually shot and skinned on our property and the skin left in the field. So please take this as our vote against allowing any land being used that the actual owners aren't going to live on and take pride in. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then this is my letter. The County of Leduc has made efforts to preserve the farmland in the county. Now we request that the county focus on preserving our quality of life. We made the decision to move away from the city several years ago, leaving behind family, friends, and all the conveniences of living in an urban center to live and retire in this peaceful, quiet, rural community. We chose a rural community for an increased quality of life, for the peace and quiet, solitude, and not having the noise pollution present in the city. There's less activity and stimulation in the rural community, and it's why we live here, and it helps to maintain our mental and physical health. We both have very stressful professions, and now, especially during COVID, the demands on us have been overwhelming. Our farmers are a place of solitude from long days and nights at work. I'm a registered nurse. As part of my professional responsibility to practice in a safe and competent manner, my governing body requires that as an RN, I ensure fitness for practice for each and every shift worked. I have a duty to provide safe, competent, and ethical nursing care and service in the best interest of the public. I need to be able to take care of myself, to be able to take care of others. This not only means being healthy physically, but also having mental health well-being. Kevin and I are both shift workers and we sleep at different times of the day. Coming home from night shifts and having to listen to all the noise created at this venue is difficult or impossible. For our day shifts, we need to get to sleep early in the evening to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. We are unable to get adequate sleep and some nights none because of the noise and stress this venue has been causing us. There is activity until 1 a.m. and sometimes beyond. We are in professions where people's lives are dependent on our decisions and care, and people rely on us to do the very best that we can for their family members who are sick. This venue has been detrimental to our ability to look after ourselves by getting adequate sleep and to perform our jobs at the best of our ability. Any weekends that we do have off now are ruined by the noise and activity at this venue. We are also farmers. We chose this land for our horses to breed, train, show, and ride. This land provides pasture and hay that we cut and bale for our horses. It's a place for our garden and our greenhouse and space for our companion animals to be safe. With each event, our anxiety and stress levels have increased dramatically. We've become more irritable, worried for our home and welfare of our animals, and concerned for my safety, especially when Kevin is at work and I am at home alone. I never used to be afraid to be in my home before all these events started happening. Gates are now closed and doors are always locked. There's loud music, people's speeches over the microphone, crowd noise, and traffic from these events. It can be heard from in and outside of our home.
You have about 30 seconds
Oh,
left.
sorry. There are now large buses coming and going, and it sounds like we are living next to a Greyhound bus depot. We hear the noise from inside and outside of our home, and we can't keep our windows open at night. My horses are my main hobby and a source of enjoyment and relaxation, and the noise agitates my horses and makes it difficult for me to work with them and train them on these days that the events are taking place.
So I'll give you an extra 30 seconds to wrap up and
Sorry, I
then we'll go on.
appreciate-
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Also, Kevin rides his motorcycle to work during the summer and he must travel by this venue, creating danger for him. And it also worries me every day when he goes to work and has to come home because of the increased traffic and the potential alcohol use that is present at the facility. Yeah, so just in conclusion, a business that is discretionary and goes against the values of community has a negative impact on people and their livelihoods and impacts people's mental health and quality of life should not be a part of this rural landscape.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation
Sorry.
and hurrying through. I appreciate it.
I also have some photos I'll submit.
Yeah, leave those with Mr. Thomas and he'll make sure that council has an
Yes,
opportunity to
absolutely.
review them.
Thank you.
I can be within 6 feet of my wife.
In some places you probably can't, but here you can. Again, just state your name and your address and then we will start timing whenever you begin.
Is this mic on? Yes.
Yes, it is.
My name is Kevin Nielsen. The address is 50351 Range Road 225. As Karen has stated, we both recognize and appreciate the efforts Leduc County has made to preserve farmland. We feel strongly that the county must, as part of this effort, make effort to preserve the lifestyle that is a part of living in this rural area. Everybody that lives in the rural Leduc County shares at least one important thing. We all value the importance of life, the lifestyle that is associated with living in a rural area. Part of this rural lifestyle includes the peace, quiet, and serenity that rural living usually should bring. This wedding venue has nothing to do with agriculture, farming, or anything to do with rural lifestyle. It is simply a place for people from the city to come and party. From the experience we've had during the permit process and the events this summer, there's been a complete lack of demonstration of respect for the community and the people who live here from the Guptas and their clients. The Guptas abandoned their rural lifestyle years ago, moved to the city, and they are now non-resident landowners who are forcing many of the negative aspects of city life on our community. The horrendous noise with every event held at this facility is the most dramatic in-your-face effect for us. The conditions of the bylaw, the conditions in bylaw state that there shall be no impact with respect to noise, dust, etc. Every wedding ceremony and every reception held at this facility not only has a bit of a noise impact, but it has an extremely significant impact for us. We have clearly heard the disruptive, annoying noise from several wedding ceremonies from every area of our property that we frequent. The reception party noise is terrible and unrelenting. It can very clearly be heard from our home, our barn, our corral area, the areas that we work on equipment and machinery, and most notably from the north side of the house that we're trying to build. It should be noticed that this new house is on a hill and has as its most important feature a large northwest facing windows and deck that faces directly towards the facility. And this is where the noise is most dramatically heard. As well, we can clearly see light from the tent and surrounding area, as well as the excessive traffic and dust and noise that the traffic creates. The noise is so clearly heard from the north side of the house and is so disruptive. If this venue were to continue, we would have to consider abandoning construction. It's just horrible. The noise has prevented us from being able to work with our horses in the way that we should be able to. I fear for the safety of my wife. The agitation of the horses from noise and extra traffic could easily cause her to get injured by these very large animals. I frequently have been unable to sleep because of the noise, dramatically affecting my ability to do my job safely and competently. I find it impossible to relax properly when I come home from work or before an event that is happening. When I'm trying to work around the farm during an event, the noise is unrelenting and clearly heard everywhere. It should be also noted that it is not just the noise from the amplified sound system, but we can clearly hear the background noise from the crowd accentuated by frequent hoots, hollers, and yelling. The noise carries on well past midnight, the operating deadline from both the tent and the parking lot. The traffic, dust, and parking on the Rage Road impact are things that Karen probably wanted to discuss but didn't have time and have had a pretty significant impact on our lives. There are a number of permit conditions that are supposed to protect us that have proven to be impossible to verify compliance because the facility is on private property and there's a lack of available enforcement when events are happening. A major impact for us is the prospect that these things will not get any better, and we could have to endure significantly worsening effects on our lives in the future.
Mr. Nielsen, you're into your last minute.
Okay, I'll have to skip a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I'll let you.
We will have
read.
copies of your report or your speech. Yes, we will.
I'd like to point out that this has been a probationary period, that the temporary two-year permit, and the misbehavior, the lack of appreciation for the direction given by the county for the conditions of the permit have been horrible. In summary, this wedding venue already has had a major impact on our lives. We've seen, with relatively limited operations this last summer, extensive problems with non-compliance with the conditions regarding noise, operating hours, traffic, parking on the road, dust, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen defiance of specific instructions from county administration. We've seen no relationship to agriculture as required by the land use bylaw. We've seen no evidence of the economic benefits to the county that were promised. There has been significant persistent disregard and disrespect for the county and local residents. With all the problems we've seen already, we would like council to answer a few questions. Can we ensure?
Mr. Nielsen, you're at time.
Okay.
So
I've got two questions.
If
on
you
here.
can read them very quickly,
can
and then
read them
I
very
will, that
quickly.
will be it.
Can we ensure that this facility will not be given permanent permit extension and ruin our lives permanently? And do we really need to suffer another summer of this major negative impact on our lives prior to a decision to shut this operation down?
Thank you very much. And if you leave that copy with Mr. Thomas, he will make sure that all of council gets an opportunity to see the photos as well as the copies. Is there any other speakers? We are at time, actually, Councillor Smith.
If I could jump in, may I ask one question of the last presentation?
You can.
During your presentation, you said you were impacted at work, but I don't remember you sharing what you do for your job. What is that?
I'm an emergency physician at the University Hospital.
Okay.
Something I've done
again,
for 35
thank you
years.
for that. And further to that, I have received another copy from Winston Boychuk, who is not available today. It's about 6 lines. I can either present it or read it.
If you can read very quickly, we will
All right,
then give
I
it
will.
to.
And this is from Winston Boychuk. I'll have to confirm. I know where he lives, but I don't have his address. The Aspen Valley Event Center has created problems. The noise of traffic, dust, backup alarms, congestion on the road. When an event is going on, it gets loud. You can hear the noise over the air conditioner in the bedroom till the early morning hours. When a person is working shift work over the weekend, when you have to get up early or being on call, sleep is difficult. I think this was a big mistake by giving this event center the go-ahead and ignoring the local people that have lived here for years. Winston Boychuk, and I'll put that into the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of our speakers who came in today. We will have an opportunity to review all of your notes, and we will be providing back a letter in response to your presentations. Again, thank you for coming in and sharing with council your concerns so we could hear them firsthand. Thank you very much. Someone want to move that for information? Mr. Counselor Smith?
Yes, please.
We'll move the verbal reports for information. All in favor? That is unanimous. Counselor Vandenberg, in the past, when we've had people Zoom in, we've assumed that they agree with something unless they disagree. Would you like to continue that way for this meeting?
That would be fine, thank you.
Thank you. So that is a unanimous. Thank you. And on to service awards. 10 years for Charlene Haverland. Woohoo!
She showed up with her own.
Madam Chair, I don't think I need to introduce her. You've seen her in here a number of times, and she's a regular visitor to these
Oh, I
chambers.
have a clean one. Let me get it.
A lot of the good work that gets done on behalf of the county is in Charlene's group. Charlene is celebrating 10 years with the county. We're very, very lucky to have Charlene on our team. And you see a lot of Charlene's work unfold in this room. But a lot of what you don't see is the leadership that Charlene provides, the working environment that helps a lot of the good work that happens in P&D actually happen. And Charlene is our problem solver, right? When there's a difficult file, when there's a sensitive issue that needs some intervention, Charlene's in there dealing with those things pretty much every day. It's not an easy life. It's pretty unpredictable work. And we're lucky we have Charlene doing that work. So I just want to congratulate Charlene on 10 years of service with Leduc County.
Congratulations. When I started at the county, I guess it'd be over 8 years ago, Charlene was doing subdivisions, and she brought for me as a new counselor a feeling of calm and that notion that there weren't any in-depth questions, and I just felt so confident being around her. I think she'd be a great coach, a great person to do it. So congratulations.
Do you want lights?
Well, my bruise will show up too much. On to Mr. Thomas, Albert and Maria Reimer Memorial Scholarship. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Madam Chair and Council, I'm here to present a report with regards to awarding the Albert and Maria Reimer Memorial Scholarship to Mr. Matt Gruninger in the amount of $1,000. There were 2 applicants for the scholarship, and Matt met all the criteria. He graduated from Warburg High School in 2021, and he is registered in the University of Alberta in a Bachelor's of Kinesiology for Sports Performance Program, which he hopes to utilize as a degree for pre-medical. The value of the scholarship is determined by interest accumulated during the preceding year. There was an original $50,000 donation by Mr. Reimer. However, the scholarship will be provided. However, the scholarship should not be provided less than $1,000 in any given year. So that's why we're hoping to award $1,000 today. There was a committee that reviewed the 2 applicants. They were Councillor Ray Scobie and Councillor Glenn Blauser. And on that, I would leave it for a motion if appropriate.
Thank you very much. Councillor Scobie. Councillor Scobie is going to make the motion that Leduc County Council award the 2021 Albert Maria Reimer Memorial Scholarship to Matt Gruninger in the amount of $1,000. And that is a good news story. Going to call the question. All in favor? All right. On to 5B1, which is Camrose County, Leduc County Intermunicipal Plan. First reading to rescind bylaw 0618. And Ms. Johnson, you are taking lead on this.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. Administration recommends that Council give first reading to rescind bylaw 0618, referred to as Camrose County, Leduc County Intermunicipal Development Plan. On September the 28th, administration advised Council that the Camrose County, Leduc County IDP is not required to manage growth along the shared municipal boundary, as those lands are primarily agricultural, and no growth is contemplated in that area. Administration also advised council that date that the respective municipal development plans will fulfill the core functions and benefits of the IDP with respect to collaborative planning and referral requirements where development may affect lands near the municipal boundary. Council agreed and passed a motion that the IDP is no longer required. The Council of Camrose County also agrees the IDP is no longer required. Camrose County Council will consider first reading to rescind the IDP today at their council meeting and have scheduled a public hearing on December the 13th. The process for rescinding the IDP is not outlined in the IDP, as at that time, the Municipal Government Act didn't allow for repeals. That, of course, has since changed. So to rescind the IDP bylaw, Section 192 of the MGA would apply, which states an amendment or repeal must be made in the same way as the original bylaw. If council gives first reading to rescind the IDP bylaw today, administration will proceed with scheduling a public hearing on December the 14th in accordance with the provisions of the MGA. Just of note, the repeal of the Camrose County, Leduc County IDP is exempt from referral to the Edmonton Metropolitan Region Board, as it does not meet Section 4 of REF, the Regional Evaluation Framework, that requires referral to the EMRB. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions for administration? I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. Just confirming it doesn't meet the regional evaluation framework because Camrose is not part of the EMRB board. Is that correct?
No, that's not the reason. There's a set of criteria that is established through REF, and it doesn't meet any of that criteria. So, for example, if it were near a utility corridor or something of that nature, and I looked through all the criteria, it doesn't meet any of that criteria and therefore does not have to be submitted.
Ms. Johnson, if there were to be some growth happening out that would have been impacted by this IDP, what process would the county then take? So a large processing plant or something like that, would we start up a new IDP?
Depends on what the objective is. So if it's just a development referral, we can go with a referral. If it's something greater, more grand, there is a process to reestablish the IDP if you so choose to do.
Okay. Other than that, we'd work with just the referral process.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Seeing none, I need someone to make Councillor Wanchuk to rescind. So the county give first reading to our bylaw to rescind bylaw 0618 as the Camrose County, Leduc County Intermunicipal Development Plan. So this is to give first reading. Any questions on the reading? Being none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. So with that, now you will work on the public hearing and then we'd go on to second and third reading, correct?
That's correct. December 14th.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a little bit of that red tape reduction, I think, that we've all been looking for and seems to make sense for us. With now is Mr. Richards down.
So, Madam Chair, the next item of business is a 145 public hearing. And so we'll have to, there's no other business to conclude.
So
today.
we will recess till 1:45. I knew we'd need 10 seconds. That's why I started early.
Ready?
Welcome, Colin. Mr. Richards, I mean, sorry.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to call our public hearing to order at 1:45. My name's Tanya DeBlanco and I will be the chair for this public hearing. All questions and comments shall be directed through me. Council is here to listen to the information presented and make a decision on the matter that is the subject of this hearing. This is a formal hearing and is not a debate. Everyone wishing to speak who has pre-registered will be given an opportunity to speak once to the matter as called on by myself, the chair. Each presenter must state their full name, rural address, and their interest in the matter, including whether they are in support or non-support. Individuals who do not identify themselves will not be given an opportunity to speak. Presenters are to stay within a 5-minute time limit on their presentation and are encouraged when speaking to keep the presentation to their point and refrain from restating points raised by previous speakers. If new presentation materials are provided, you may be asked to email a copy to our legislative coordinator. I will now call on Mr. Richards to introduce the subject of the hearing. Go ahead, Mr. Richards, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the purpose of this proposed land use bylaw amendment is to redistrict 14.2 hectares, which is 35 acres, from a 63 hectare, which is 155 acre parcel of land from the agricultural district to the direct control district. The subject parcel is located northwest of the intersection of Highway 623 and Highway 814. And the property is adjacent to the southern portion of Saunders Lake, which lies to the west. And the property is also approximately 4 kilometers east of the boundary of the city of Leduc. Existing structures on the property consist of 2 dwellings and a number of farm buildings in agricultural use. The applicant advises that the primary purpose of the project is to extract up to 175,000 cubic meters of clay and then to regrade and recontour the area to allow for better agricultural cropping. Once this is completed, the direct control area will be amended back to the agricultural district. The remainder of the parcel will remain under the agricultural district and will continue to be farmed during the life of the project. Back in 2019, Council approved application LA 19004, which amended a 1.3 hectare, which was 3.21 acres of the same parcel to the direct control district in order to extract 30,000 cubic meters of clay for the purpose of agricultural development. Upon completion of that project, the lands were graded and placed into agricultural use as a corral for cattle. The current amendment application will essentially act as an expansion to that previously approved direct control area. The amendment was advertised in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, and in response to that referral, the county's internal departments had no concern with the proposed amendment, and Alberta Transportation advised that a provincial roadside development permit has already been approved for the project. We can confirm that there were no concerns noted from adjacent landowners. Support of the direct control district would essentially establish the principle of clay extraction only at this time in accordance with the provisions of the proposed bylaw. And this bylaw essentially mirrors our standard regulations applied to resource extraction operations. A development permit would then be required, which will establish all of the key operational factors such as the extraction amounts, the final grades, the project duration, the work area, applicable setbacks, operational hours, and any other applicable matters. The subsequent development permit application would also be determined by council unless council wished to delegate the approval powers for the application to the development authority. In consideration that the purpose of the proposed amendment is to ultimately increase the long-term agricultural capabilities of the property, and that the proposal received no objections from any referral bodies and has already received its required provincial approval from Alberta Transportation, administration does support the proposal and can recommend that council give first, second, and third reading to the proposed bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. I'm just going to check with Ms. White. Have we received anything since in relation to this? We have not. Thank you. And I will open the floor for questions on the bylaw. I have Councillor Smith and then Councillor Lewis.
On the current direct control, have there been any complaints received whatsoever about its operations?
Through the chair, not that I am aware, I could not find any complaints in the file.
Counselor Lewis?
Thank you very much. Mr. Richards, your background information says it's 4 kilometers from the city of Leduc. Mr. Knopper's application to the province said that it was 9. Can you confirm?
Through the chair, I believe it's 4 from the boundary. It could be 9 from the said
city?
site.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Question?
go ahead, Counselor Vandenberg.
Just overlooking the potential to the future bylaw. And I noticed that, or I did not see any time restrictions, operational hours. Am I missing it, or is that normal with this type of approval?
Through the chair, it's typical in the direct control district itself that it wouldn't list those intricate details. It could certainly be done, but the preferred time to address those matters would be at the subsequent development permit application, where the timing and operational hours will be added as conditions of approval on that development permit.
Thank you.
Mr. Richards, if council were to pass this bylaw, is there a time frame at which this development would need to happen? Or is the bylaw wide open? I had an issue a few days ago with some of that. So could you just talk us through that, please? Thank you.
Through the chair, I certainly can. So the bylaw itself does not include an end date. Once we receive a development permit application, that will be one of the questions we asked. And based on previous experiences with extraction applications of this type, a standard condition we do now include is a date in which the project must be completed. And if it's not, it needs to go through a new development permit process.
Thank you. And just a subsequent question then. So the rezoning to direct control stays with the land or belongs to the landowner? So should the landowner win the lottery and move away, would this bylaw still be active on that piece of property?
Through the chair, it would. The zoning would run with the property.
Good. I've never thought of that before today, so I just thought I'd ask it. Thank you. Any other further questions for administration? All right, and with that, thank you, Mr. Richards. You can step back, and I know our applicant is here. Would you like to step forward and provide any information? You don't have to, but we're certainly willing to listen if you'd like to let us know something. And just state your name and anything you want to know. We may have a few questions for you.
My name is Fred Knoppers. I'm the owner of the property. I reside at 49408 Highway 814, Leduc County. Madam Chair, I appreciate the time to speak. I don't have a lot to add to that other than when somebody asked a time frame on it. We are pretty evident about if this gets approved, we will work possibly throughout the winter, and the people that I work with that will do the extraction are asked to have that back into agricultural working condition by the 1st of May when seeding time arrives. I need every acre that I have, that I own, to grow crops on. I run a fair number of cattle, and I need every ounce of dirt that I got. So yes, ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of some of these high rises in our fields that we happen to own, and to make them more level and get more production. Consequently, with the as we go forward in the years to come, the cost of land has gotten to the point where we have to be very productive in the land that we own. And in order to do that, unfortunately, I own a lot of clay. Well, I don't know if that's unfortunate or fortunate, but so in order to do that, to make it more farmable and less erosion, so on and so forth, off of these high rises in our fields, we're trying to get rid of the clay, reclaim it back with the black dirt. Ultimately, I would even like somebody to bring me more black dirt. That'd be wonderful too. But that's the whole purpose behind what we're trying to do. And I don't have a lot more to add. I'm sorry.
Thank you. A man after my own heart, just wants to be a better farmer. I love that.
Well, the cost of land has risen so terribly much in our world It's pretty hard, we often say, well, let's go buy a quarter of land or 2/4 of land. And it's out there and it's possible, but the cost, if you look at production of what we can grow on the land, it just doesn't make economical sense hardly, because you can't pay for it. You need some other source of revenue or income in your operation to allow that expansion and to pay for this expensive property. And I really don't want to move away from the county of Leduc, so I've been here too long.
I will open the floor if there's any questions from council. Councillor Smith.
Again, with the direct control you have right now, a question I had is, have you had any concerns? And I was pretty sure that you had, and I'm just wondering, would you be looking at the same company for extraction? Again, it's always nice to know you have a positive record on the current direct control, and just wondering again if, with the current, if this were to be approved today, would it be the same company that doesn't seem to be causing any problems on our roads or for our adjacent residents?
Yeah, I basically will be working, ideally, I will be working with Ironstone. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They did my first extraction. I was extremely pleased with the work that they did, and they went above and beyond as to what I asked them to do the reclamation of that cattle corral that I built a couple of years ago. They did, in my opinion, they did a phenomenal job. Yeah, whatever. I don't know if there was complaints with that extraction that we did 2 years ago, but we tried to do our best to follow all the guidelines and to make sure that things were in place. And it needs to happen quickly. I will not go into a project that's going to drag on and drag on and drag on. And this has been a thing in my life probably for the last 20 years where I've had this clay, and I've had many people approach me and say, well, we would like to buy some of your clay. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But I have this project and you can survey it and you can do whatever you want. And there's X amount of cubic meters of clay here. When you start and you finish. I don't want somebody to come in and take, a third now and 20% later and, and that the project drags out for 5 years. That is no benefit to me whatsoever, because I need to continue running my farming operation to its extent.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis has a question.
Thank you. I know it will come within the development permit that you apply for. Are you using your driveway as your existing entrance for all the trucks? Because last time I saw that you had used your existing driveway for all these trucks to enter your property.
That is the idea. That's what the Alberta Transportation Permit was designed for when I asked for that permit, that they will be using that existing driveway that goes into my property. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Knopfler? Thank you very much, sir. You can step back.
Thank you.
Any further questions for administration? I am seeing none, but thank you for coming forward, Mr. Richards. With that, I'm seeing one more call. I am seeing none. I'm going to close our public hearing at 1:59.
Councillor Vandenberg,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Councillor Vandenberg.
can I make a motion for first reading?
You certainly can. We have a motion for first reading on the floor by Councillor Vandenberg. Councillor Smith, are you voting?
Not yet. I was going to make a comment on that.
Go
in the
ahead. We
debate
are
section.
open for comments.
Again, it's always nice when we do developments and people follow through on what we ask them to do. I haven't seen any issues. And again, it's a very busy highway, and to be able to pull that off without causing problems to the highway, to the neighbors, I will definitely be in support of this today. Thank you.
And I'll just echo that, Mr. Knoppers, you've done yourself proud. No complaints, work's done. You're using the land like you said you were going to. Certainly, I will support all 3 readings today as well. Okay, no other comments? Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. Driving that road very often, almost daily. I never saw any issues on the road. No dirt, no complaints. So thank you. Continue. Good job.
With that, I'll call the vote on first reading. All in favor? That's unanimous. Second reading. Councillor Smith will move second reading. Any more comments? Debate? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Go to third reading in the same day. Counselor Wanchuk. And again, this needs to be a unanimous vote. All in favor? And third reading, Counselor Scobie. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much. You have your rezoning and we look forward to understanding the permit conditions in the development permit. Thank you. With that, I believe that we are done. Counselor Lewis.
I will adjourn.
Okay. Adjourning at 2:06.